I saw this post from South Korea Explorers, which I follow, and I decided to comment because when I was trying to understand where this information came from, i.e., the source that is, I read through it a little bit. It said 2021. I do remember that report that I think the AP released or something like that, which does highlight how technologically advanced the country is. And honestly, I do feel like it's very advanced. However, well, before we get to the however, so I did Google it and did it in a couple different ways. I can't remember if I just used different permutations, but regardless, it kind of highlighted the same thing, that Korea was number one, or at least the most tech-enabled country. But you see here, Japan is number one as far as technological expertise, according to that particular source, which we can dive into a little bit. But I also asked AI, because AI, in my opinion, is doing its job these days in securing information. And here it said, South Korea is often cited as a leader due to its exceptional digital infrastructure with the world's fastest average internet speeds, highest smartphone penetration rates, and strong positions in semiconductors, displays, and consumer electronics and manufacturing. You can read the stuff about Japan. It says the United States is also up there with Singapore. So South Korea still gets a lot of love when it comes to being considered the most technologically advanced country, even with AI. Let's look at another source of AI. So if you go to Google Gemini, interestingly, it puts Japan above Korea on this list, at least, when it says here's a breakdown of the top contenders and their strengths in 2025. It says that Japan actually has AI and advanced electronics and robotics as far as their leading. But I haven't seen much from Japan as far as AI is concerned. So that's interesting that they highlight that. They said South Korea is up here at number 2 with the 5G networks and the semiconductor manufacturing. The reason why that's the 5G networks is really critical is it does connect everybody. And I would argue if you have really, really strong internet speeds and basically the strongest internet connections, it does allow you to synergize. It allows a lot of people to communicate as long as there's no conflict in the culture and all these other issues that sometimes individuals within a culture have. So ideally, if Koreans work together, they can actually leverage that 5G network. And it says China as well when it comes to AI and whatnot. But one thing that I actually wanted to highlight, or at least ask, was who's the most advanced when it comes to actually AI? So, well, let's see. My query disappeared. But let's ask the question, which country is the most advanced in terms of AI? And it should give the same answer, which is the United States. So when it comes to identifying who is the number one country in terms of AI, it is the US. And so that's where I'm not sure if Korea is actually keeping up, which could make a difference. So yes, you might have the network, but interestingly, you're not taking advantage of things that are keeping you at the forefront, or it doesn't seem like Korea is as advanced. While I would love for the country to be still in the lead, I'm questioning that report, and I'm wondering why they would even share that when it's from 2021, because these days technology is changing every single day, and the United States being ahead of the AI curve and then China right behind. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I did not know about United Kingdom's DeepMind, so I'll have to check that out. And it looks like Canada and maybe even the European Union has some, has some focuses on AI as well. So anyway, I'd have to argue a little bit against that post and say that South Korea is not necessarily the most technologically advanced country at this point.